Welcome to Breathing the Celestial Calm, a magical sleep story designed to guide you into deep, peaceful rest. If you're only interested in the story itself, you can find chapter timestamps in the video description. Tonight, we'll journey together through the Luminous Monastery, following Beatrice Langley's extraordinary magical awakening. A tale of inner discovery, cosmic connection, and gentle transformation. Before we begin, take a moment to settle into your most comfortable position. Let your body sink into your support, whether a bed, couch, or cushioned space. Feel the gentle embrace of your surroundings, creating a sanctuary of calm just for you. This is your sacred time to release the day's tensions and welcome profound tranquility. Let's breathe together. A simple yet powerful meditation. Inhale slowly through your nose, drawing in a breath as soft and expansive as mountain mist. Feel the air filling your lungs with gentle, healing energy. Then exhale softly through your mouth like a whispered secret, releasing any lingering stress or uncertainty. With each breath, imagine waves of serene blue and lavender washing through your body, dissolving tension. If your mind wanders, and minds will wander, that's perfectly natural. Simply observe your thoughts like delicate clouds drifting across a vast, peaceful sky. There's nothing you need to do except listen, breathe, and allow the story to carry you into a profound, restorative sleep. Our journey into the Luminous Monastery begins now. Chapter 1. The Arrival. The mountain path wound like a silver thread through an emerald tapestry of ancient pines. Each step Beatrice Langley took resonating with a quiet anticipation that felt both strange and familiar. Mist clung to her travel cloak, soft tendrils of moisture that seemed to whisper secrets older than memory, older than the stone paths she now traversed. She carried nothing but a small leather satchel and a sense of profound uncertainty, a feeling that had been her closest companion since childhood. The traveling healers who had raised her had always spoken of her differently, with glances that held both wonder and something akin to caution. "You hear things others cannot," her mentor Eleanor would say, her weathered hands tracing Beatrice's palm. "Not with ears, but with something deeper." The Luminous Monastery emerged from the mountain's embrace like a dream taking physical form. Pale limestone walls seemed to breathe with an inner light. Crystal windows capturing and refracting the afternoon sun into 1,000 gentle prisms. Smooth stone pathways wound between meditation gardens, where alpine flowers nodded in a breeze that carried the scent of sage and distant snowmelt. As she approached the main entrance, a soft chiming began, not from any visible bells, but from the very air around her. The sound moved like liquid silver, each note a delicate thread weaving through her consciousness, resonating with something deep within her chest. An elderly man stood at the monastery's threshold. His robes, the color of early morning mist, moved with a fluidity that suggested he was more landscape than human. Master Zeren. She knew his name without being told, another of those inexplicable knowings that had always set her apart. "We have been expecting you, Beatrice," he said, his voice a gentle meditation itself, No surprise marked his tone, no dramatic revelation, simply a quiet acknowledgement of an anticipated arrival. Beatrice felt the weight of her past, of nights spent listening to wind carry stories through forest canopies, of mornings when the boundary between dream and wakefulness blurred like watercolors, dissolve beneath his compassionate gaze. "I'm not sure why I'm here," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Only that I must be." Master Zeren's smile was like sunlight filtering through morning mist, warm, patient, understanding. The most profound journeys rarely announce themselves with clarity. They begin with a subtle resonance, a feeling more than a thought. Behind him, the monastery seemed to expand and contract with each breath, as though the entire structure was a living entity waiting to welcome her. Meditation halls with translucent crystal windows invited exploration, their interiors promising transformation. The mountain wind carried a melody, part memory, part promise, and Beatrice understood in that moment that her arrival was not an ending, but a beginning, a threshold between the life she had known and the magic that was waiting to be understood. Chapter 2. First Resonance. The morning mist draped the Luminous Monastery like a gossamer veil, soft and yielding, its edges blurring the boundary between stone and sky. Beatrice Langley stood at the threshold of the Eastern Meditation Hall, her fingers tracing the cool crystalline windowsill, feeling the subtle vibrations that seemed to pulse beneath her touch, like a heartbeat just beyond hearing. Master Zeren watched her with eyes that held centuries of quiet understanding. "Listen," he whispered, not with words, but with a breath so gentle it might have been mistaken for the mountain's own exhalation. Beatrice closed her eyes. Her previous attempts at celestial meditation had been fraught with frustration, her mind a turbulent stream unable to find its natural course. But today felt different. The mountain seemed to lean closer, its ancient stones whispering secrets carried on currents of cool, fragrant air. A distant mountain stream sang its liquid melody, and something within Beatrice began to synchronize. Her breath, once erratic and uncertain, started to match the water's rhythmic journey, expanding and contracting with a precision that surprised her. Each inhalation drew in the crisp alpine essence, hints of sage, distant snowmelt, and the faintest trace of mountain lavender. "You're listening now," Master Zeren said, his voice as soft as the morning light filtering through translucent crystal windows. "Not with your ears, but with something deeper, your entire being." The meditation hall transformed around her. The stone floors seemed to breathe, the crystal windows hummed with an almost imperceptible resonance. Beatrice discovered she could trace the energy currents, delicate as spider silk, powerful as tectonic shifts, flowing through the monastery, through the mountain, through herself. A memory surfaced, her childhood among traveling healers, always feeling slightly apart, slightly different. Here, in this moment of profound connection, that sense of isolation dissolved. She was not separate from the world, but intricately woven into its magnificent, breathing tapestry. Her breath became a bridge, connecting her internal landscape with the vast, luminous consciousness of the mountain. Each exhalation released a layer of tension. Each inhalation drew in pure, transformative energy. Master Zeren approached, his movements as fluid as mountain mist. "The universe speaks in rhythms," he murmured. "Your magic is not about forcing or controlling, but about listening, about becoming a vessel for something larger than yourself." Beatrice opened her eyes. The meditation hall looked unchanged, and yet everything was different, Insomnia. The stones seemed to shimmer with an inner light, the crystal windows catching and refracting morning sunlight into 1,000 gentle prisms. Her first true moment of celestial resonance had arrived, not with dramatic flourish, but with the quiet inevitability of a mountain stream finding its path. Outside, a gentle wind moved through alpine grasses, carrying the soft chimes of distant meditation bells, a symphony of tranquility that seemed to whisper, "You belong." Chapter 3: The Internal Landscape. The monastery's meditation chamber breathed with a luminous quietude, crystal windows capturing the soft lavender light of early evening. Beatrice Langley sat cross-legged on a cushion woven from threads so delicate they seemed spun from moonlight, her inner landscape as turbulent as the memories she had long kept carefully concealed. Master Zeren moved like a whisper around her, his presence both grounding and ethereal. "Meditation is not about silencing your memories," he said, his voice a gentle current, "but about understanding their rhythm, their music." Beatrice's breath caught in her throat, a fragile thing, trembling with unspoken histories. Memories of her childhood among traveling healers began to surface, not as jagged fragments, but as fluid, interconnected sensations. She saw Elena's hands, weathered like ancient parchment, tracing healing patterns on wounded travelers. She remembered the constant movement, the perpetual sense of being between places, between moments. "Your magic," Master Zeren continued, "lives in the spaces between remembering and releasing." A single tear traced a path down her cheek, not from grief, but from a profound recognition. The tear caught the evening light, momentarily transforming into a prism that scattered soft rainbows across the meditation chamber's stone floor. Each fragment of color seemed to hold a memory, a breath, a moment of transformation. The monastery around her began to pulse, not with sound, but with a subtle energetic resonance. The stone walls seemed to breathe, to remember, to understand. Beatrice realized her own internal landscape was not a battlefield to be conquered, but a sacred geography to be explored, to be listened to. "Many believe magic is about control," Master Zeren said, settling beside her with a movement as fluid as mountain mist. "But true magic, celestial magic, is about surrender, about becoming a vessel for something larger than yourself." Her memories began to shift, to realign. The loneliness of her childhood, the constant sense of being different, the inexplicable sensitivity that had always set her apart. These were not wounds, but gifts. Each sensitivity was a thread in a larger, more magnificent tapestry. The evening light continued to transform, sliding from lavender to a deep contemplative blue. Outside, mountain winds carried the soft chiming of distant meditation bells, a symphony of tranquility that seemed to whisper ancient secrets. Beatrice's breath synchronized with the monastery's rhythm. Inhale, memories rising like gentle mist. Exhale, understanding blooming like alpine flowers. Each breath a meditation, each memory a stepping stone toward understanding. "You are learning," Master Zeren murmured, "that healing is not about erasing pain, but about creating space for it to transform." And in that moment, something profound shifted, not with dramatic revelation, but with the quiet inevitability of a mountain stream finding its path. Beatrice understood that her magic was not something to be conquered, but a living, breathing dialogue between her inner world and the vast, luminous consciousness that surrounded her. Chapter 4: Cosmic Whispers. The meditation chamber breathed with an otherworldly luminescence, crystal windows capturing the ethereal light of dawn in soft prismatic fragments. Beatrice stood at the threshold of a revelation, her consciousness expanding like mountain mist, touching the delicate threads that connected all living beings. Master Zeren watched her with eyes that held millennia of understanding. "Close your eyes," he whispered, his voice a gentle current of wisdom. "Not to shut out the world, but to truly see it." Beatrice's breath became a bridge, a living conduit between her inner landscape and the vast, luminous consciousness that hummed beneath the monastery's ancient stones. The air around her seemed to shimmer, charged with an energy both ancient and immediate. At first, the whispers were barely perceptible, soft as spider silk, intricate as the most delicate frost patterns. She felt the quiet heartbeat of the mountain pine forests, the slow, patient rhythm of stones that had witnessed centuries of silent transformation, the subtle conversations of alpine flowers bending in the morning breeze. "Magic is not about doing," Master Zeren murmured, "but about listening, about becoming a vessel for something larger than yourself." A memory surfaced. Elena, her childhood mentor, tracing healing patterns on a wounded traveler's arm. But this memory was different now. Beatrice could see the energy currents, the subtle threads of compassion and healing that flowed between healer and healing, between touch and transformation. The monastery around her began to pulse, not with sound, but with a profound energetic resonance. Stone walls breathed, crystal windows hummed. Each breath she took was a dialogue, a conversation with the universe's most intimate rhythms. Tears traced silent paths down her cheeks, not of sadness, but of profound recognition. Each tear caught the morning light, transforming into prisms that scattered soft rainbows across the meditation chamber's ancient floor. In these fragments of light, she saw connections, intricate, luminous pathways between all living things. "You are hearing the language between breaths," Master Zeren said, his voice a soft meditation. "The whispers that exist in the spaces most never notice." Beatrice understood in that moment that her magic was not about control or dramatic displays. It was about empathy, about becoming a conduit for healing, for understanding, Each subtle perception was a thread in a more magnificent tapestry, a cosmic conversation that had been waiting for her to listen. Outside, mountain winds carried the soft chiming of distant meditation bells, a symphony of tranquility that seemed to whisper, "You are not alone. You have never been alone." Chapter 5. Celestial Convergence. The monastery's meditation chamber transformed as twilight descended, its crystal windows capturing the last remnants of daylight in gossamer threads of amber and lavender. Beatrice stood at the center of a profound moment of magical becoming, her entire being trembling with the delicate potential of unrealized power. Master Zeren approached, his movements as fluid as mountain mist, eyes holding a complexity that spoke of centuries of understanding. "Tonight," he whispered, "you will touch the very essence of celestial magic." The stone floor beneath her feet seemed to breathe, ancient patterns of energy rising like invisible tendrils, responding to the quiet intensity of her emerging awareness. Beatrice's breath became a living bridge, each inhalation drawing in the monastery's accumulated wisdom, each exhalation releasing her own carefully guarded uncertainties. Magic is not about control, Master Zeren had taught her, but about becoming a vessel, about listening to the conversations happening between breaths, between moments, between worlds. Her memories began to weave themselves differently now. The years of feeling different, of sensing currents invisible to others, transformed from a burden into something luminous. The traveling healers who had raised her, Elena with her knowing hands, the other mentors who had recognized something extraordinary in her. They had been preparing her for this moment without ever explaining exactly what this moment would be. The monastery's energy began to pulse in synchronization with her heartbeat. Crystal windows hummed with an almost imperceptible frequency. Stone walls seemed to lean closer, bearing witness to a transformation occurring at the most fundamental level of existence. A single tear traced a path down Beatrice's cheek, not of sadness, but of profound recognition. The tear caught the last of the evening light, momentarily transforming into a prism that scattered soft rainbows across the meditation chamber's ancient floor. Each fragment of color held a memory, a breath, a moment of pure potential. Master Zeren's hand, impossibly gentle, touched her shoulder. "You are learning," he murmured, "that true magic resides in the spaces between perception and understanding, between what is seen and what is felt." Outside, mountain winds carried the soft chiming of distant meditation bells, a symphony of tranquility that seemed to whisper ancient secrets. The boundary between Beatrice and the cosmic consciousness around her began to dissolve, not dramatically, but with the quiet inevitability of a mountain stream finding its natural path.